set outlandish goals and find a methodical, rational way to achieve them, almost like project management, breaking down something that may sound obscene into smaller bite-sized chunks that we can tackle individually one by one to get to that outlandish goal of getting to the Olympics. So initially, I started to ski just because I saw my friends heli skiing, and I thought that this was probably the most insane things that I had seen anyone do. My friends had turned into superheroes. So my initial goal was simply to be able to keep up with these guys and to be able to attend the heli ski events that they were attending. At the beginning of 2018, I attended a tech entrepreneur gathering of skiers in Revelstoke, British Columbia, Canada. And it was at this moment I realized a couple of things. First of all, that I was the only Black representative out of a crew of 200 people. And secondly, with these friends of mine knowing of my Jamaican ancestry and my Jamaican roots, my father's Jamaican, the jokes about cool runnings in the 1988 bobsled team started right there and then. And the joke of the day, or the joke of the weekend, was you should go to the Olympics. And I took that a little bit too seriously, I guess. In 2018, I went to the Olympics as a spectator, absolutely fell in love with the spirit of the games. And as a child who had only seen skiing on TV as a boy and knew nothing about the winter sports, this was probably the first time, not only had I attended the Olympics, but probably the first time I'd ever paid any attention to the Winter Games. I noticed something else. I noticed that Jamaica, which is a powerhouse in the Summer Games, only had 3 athletes in representation for the 2018 Winter Games in Korea. And so I thought perhaps there was a chance for me to do this. In the beginning of 2019, I moved to Revelstoke for a month of ski training, shall we say, but just really skiing. And it was at this moment I had the opportunity to meet a former professional ski racer and ask him my opinion of this crazy, crazy idea. Now, in a nutshell, he said that I had the worst ski technique he'd ever seen, but that was justified given that I'd only skied about 25 days at that time and had 2 lessons. But he was completely shocked at my ability to keep up with him. He said that I was fearless, crazy, stupid, or a combination of the 3. And he thought that this kind of fearlessness gave me the opportunity to perhaps be able to qualify. It was this gentleman, this individual, who kind of steered me in the right direction and set me off my merry way for how to train and to become Jamaica's first ever Alpine ski racer. I nearly failed to qualify for the Olympics, and so in large part because of the pandemic, I had set about this outlandish mission of trying to qualify for the Olympics in 2 short years, something most people spend the majority of their lives trying to do. Not only did I have 2 short years, and was I coming from zero background of skiing, little did I know that 17 of those 24 months I would have no access to competition because of the pandemic and because of closed borders. And for a large chunk of that time, I would have no access to skiing because it had been my intention to go to the Southern Hemisphere during our summer months, their winter, to keep skiing. And I had no opportunity to do that again because of the pandemic. Qualifying and getting to the Olympics taught me to keep fighting till the very, very last. I actually contracted COVID over the Christmas break of 2021 with less than 20 days left of the qualification window, with still lots of work to do. And I thought absolutely that I'd had no chance in hell to do this. I decided that I would just keep trying, and I had 7 races booked across 4 countries in the last 7 days. Sorry, 5 races booked in the last 7 days across 4 countries, which would have required 20 hours of driving, and I'm a one-man show, so having to race in the day, get in the car for 6 hours, go to the next race. And it seemed like mission impossible until the very last moment, 72 hours before the deadline, and I qualified. And it really taught me to never give up until it's absolutely impossible. There are 3 things that I think are really important about what I did and what people can take away from that. The obvious one is about diversity in winter sports, and that the winter sports are for everyone. It doesn't have to be for people from a certain socioeconomic background or from a certain kind of ethnic background. The winter sports are out there for us all to enjoy, and I'm heavily addicted. And even though I no longer compete, I skied 95 days this season. Absolutely love it. So that's the first thing. The winter sports are for all. The second thing is about the ability to set outlandish goals and find a methodical, rational way to achieve them, almost like project management, breaking down something that may sound obscene into smaller bite-sized chunks that we can tackle individually one by one to get to that outlandish goal of getting to the Olympics. And the other one is succeeding in face of adversity. So 24 months to achieve an outlandish goal, with 17 of those months really taken away from me by virtue of the pandemic, but still succeeding in that thing. And I think sometimes getting into something and just kind of putting your head and doing it, had I known the obstacles that were going to be put in front of me before going into this project, I would never have decided to do it. I thought it would have been a fool's errand, a mission impossible, literally. But just putting your head down and keep pushing forward with incremental improvements shows that crazy things can be achieved. Highlight of being the first person to represent Jamaica in alpine ski racing for me must have been walking in that opening ceremony as the flag bearer. It's really interesting because of the 1988 bobsled team and because of Cool Runnings. There is this cult following and this energy around Jamaica as a nation as it participates in the Olympics period, but especially in the Winter Olympics. And so to carry on that legacy after that team, 34 years later, holding the flag, sharing that honor with none other than Usain Bolt, was absolutely the highlight of my Olympics. So I think my proudest professional achievement is definitely that of being the first person to represent Jamaica in alpine skiing, and now to begin a legacy of alpine ski racers. I'm actually mentoring 10 young athletes who are fighting for 2 spots in the 2026 Italy Winter Olympics. And I'm also working on a plan to bring Jamaican cross-country skiers to the 2026 Games. So what I did is merely a line in the sand or a beginning of a movement. And I'm very proud of that, but I'm super proud of what's actually to come in the next Olympic cycle or two.